Okay, I thought I'd put together this very quick presentation to kind of explain where we've been today. I know that sometimes we take some tangential routes in order to communicate and explore some of the ideas, so I thought that a video such as this might help sum up in more direct terms where I think we've been, how the reading relates to the assignment, and a summary of what we mean by denial and resistance. Essentially, what we're talking about with denials and resistance are disagreements between the mentee and the mentor regarding reality or facets of that reality. I suppose you might say, I say potato, you say potato, etc., etc. Where do disagreements come from, and breakdowns in communication? So first of all, Mons Watson explores aggression and resistance as part of our ancestral prehistoric makeup, that really these features have a biological origin and they've served us well over millions of years. Then we have theories represented by this glass of overflowing water, that aggression and resistance are natural occurring responses to being frustrated, or basically that human beings can only tolerate so much water or so much frustration, if you like, being poured into them over the course of a day, and then eventually the glass overflows, or to use the metaphor, building on that metaphor, that the person erupts with either violence and aggression or simply shuts off and develops resistant patterns of behaviour. Then we've got Freud's theory of personality, which we're going to explore in a moment regarding transactional analysis. You can find the origins of transactional analysis in the work of Freud, and how Freud explores the construction of personality according to id, ego and superego, although the transactional analysis theory of Eric Berne from 1964 I think you can find online. Eric Berne is primarily concerned with ego psychology. Also there we've got everybody's favourite, the Bobo doll, Bandura's theory that really aggression and resistance are a result of social modelling and infants copying adults. And I guess we can find elements of truth or explanation in each of those theories, and you can find out in more detail by consulting Excerpt 7 Mons Watson in today's pack. Excerpt 2 in the pack is work by the recently departed deceased Stan Cohen, who you might be aware of from Moral Panics, and he tries to categorise denial as according to three different levels, if you like. What determines the extent of denial is dependent on how willing the person or the denier is willing to mentally process the original proposition. Does a person outrightly deny the existence of something, which is a literal denial? Does the person process a little bit more and put their own spin on events, an own interpretation? They're actually thinking about the issue in that case, but putting their own interpretation on events. Or finally, a more sophisticated form of denial, which is implicatory denial, in which the person does not deny the existence of an issue, a fact or a feature, but renegotiates their relationship as an individual with that fact or feature. In each case of that denial, literal, interpretive or implicatory, we must acknowledge that denial, the mental process of denial, first precedes the behaviour of resistance. And denial and resistance are antithetical or opposite, if you like, to change and development. Then we can make some links into Pack 13, which is here, in which we explored some of the theories prevalent at explaining change. And we covered Fisher, Kubler-Ross and Prochaska and DiClemente. And notice within each one of them there is a stage, either explicitly called denial, in the case of Kubler-Ross and Fisher, or Prochaska and DiClemente's theory, which I've come to understand pre-contemplation as the denial stage. As well as those three theories of change encountered in Pack 13, in this session I introduced you to transactional analysis, and I've made a mistake. I thought I'd given you an introduction to this in one of the previous packs and I haven't done so. So I'll introduce transactional analysis to you formally in the form of a short summary handout in a future pack, but I also introduced you to TA, or transactional analysis, in the two videos that I showed you in today's session. And basically, transactional analysis is a development of Freud's theory on ego psychology, but sees the ego as more complex as first Freud thought. And according to transactional analysis, the ego is comprised of three distinct parts: the parent, the adult and the child. The parent and the child parts are further subdivided into nurturing parent and critical parent, and free child and adapted child. You might, in this demonstration, the adapted child is demonstrated by the not okay position, and the natural child is representative of the free child. So in other words, each person's personality is comprised of 5 distinct elements. And when we interact with someone or communicate with someone, as a mentor would with a mentee, they also have 5 distinct elements of personality. And in a nutshell, the goal of understanding transactional analysis and operating in a developmental mentoring relationship is for the mentor to operate in their adult state as much as possible, and for the mentee to operate in their adult state as much as possible. So some strategies that I'm starting to introduce you to, which will be explored in greater detail in the task-centered, person-centered and solution-focused approaches to helping, are the first need to actively listen to the mentee. And I thought I'd given you more information on this, but I haven't. I thought I'd provided you with more detailed information on active listening. I did run through Egan's model of active listening. So I identified for you the 4 aspects of experience that the mentor can pay attention to, but I will pad this out, as I say, with a more formal handout in Pack 17. And those are: you can pay attention to the experience itself, as recounted by the mentee rather. You can pay attention to the location of the mentee within their account of their experience, i.e. I did this, I was here. You can pay attention to the feelings of the mentee, i.e. what they felt about this whole situation. And then we have a tendency, when we recount a narrative or an experience to others, to give a point of view, and this is usually at the end of the narrative. So you can also pay attention to the 4th element, the point of view. So we have experience 1, 2, we have location and experience, 3, we have feelings in the experience, and 4, we have point of view about the whole experience. And you can find a very, very brief summary on active listening in Pack 13 within Excerpt 1, Basic Counselling Techniques. So to avoid unwittingly playing games, you first need to identify what Miller and Rolnick identify as 4 types of client-resistant behaviour, and that's in your pack at Excerpt 4. And those 4 types are briefly arguing, interrupting, negating and ignoring. And then there's a scenario that precedes that in the pack, which outlines interaction between a probation officer and a client. Can you see any of those 4 resistant behaviours in that transaction? We can actively listen to the experiences of the mentee. You'll see that that doesn't really happen in the probation officer scenario. Each one is very firmly trying to set their agenda. And we can remember this mnemonic, the darn cat. We can try and identify change talk. Active listening and change talk are linked with solution-focused approaches, and we'll explore that in more detail in Pack 18. Solution-focused approaches are also linked to today's pack, Pack 15. solution-focused approaches. Some of the techniques there are outlined by Undil in his section on motivational interviewing across pages 2 to 5. We'll return to this in more detail in Pack 18. Also, in Pack 14, excerpts 1 and 2, and in excerpt 2, pages 26 to 28, explore some aspects of solution-focused approaches. And also, can we link some of excerpt 3, Thompson's chapter on interviewing, and that can be found in last week's pack. Basically, Thompson's account, rather than it being more theoretical, if you like, as what we're exploring today in motivational interviewing, Thompson outlines some of the more practical steps that one needs to take into consideration when organising an interview. Things that I mentioned in the sessions, such as setting a contract and so on. So here where we've been, I think, in this presentation, in today's session, and the materials in today's packs and the packs so far. First of all, before we do anything, we need to be self-aware. We need to be aware of our own values and our own feelings. We need to be aware of our own feelings and also the feelings of others when we are attempting to solve problems. And you can have you can read in more depth in Pack 12 the excerpts on the decision-making process as a rational phenomenon, but also the impact that feelings have on decision-making. Secondly, we need to be aware of how we communicate towards others and how others communicate with us. And we can explore how people communicate with regards to non-verbal communication and so on within Pack 14 and excerpts throughout 1 to 4 regarding active listening, effective questioning and non-verbal communication and so on. We need to be self-aware. Thirdly, we need to expect that mentees are going to be resistant to change. What you might think is a brilliant idea and the benefits that could be achieved by the mentee changing are not likely to be seen by the mentee themselves. Therefore, you shouldn't expect to be welcomed with open arms when you're mentoring. Instead, you should come to expect that mentees are going to be resistant. And you can find justification as to why that's the case by exploring the change theories as outlined in Pack 13, excerpts 1 to 7, and in today's pack regarding denial and resistance, excerpts 1 to 8. So, that's the deal really, that people are going to be resistant to change. Fourthly, can you apply these theories of change as outlined in Pack 13 and 15? Can you apply these theories to interpreting and analysing client behaviour as outlined in the case study and potential client behaviour? What you would do if, in the event of, you would perhaps explain this or explore this aspect of the mentee's behaviour with reference to one of the 3 change theories as we've covered in Pack 13, or some interpretation based on theories of denial as covered in today's pack. Importantly, what you must not do is reinforce old patterns of behaviour which reinforce non-change behaviour on the part of the mentee. And these are defined as games within transactional analysis theory, and if you want to revisit those 2 videos available online, but also in Pack 17 when we're going to explore the person-centred approach to helping and how the provision of non-conditional positive regard, or rather unconditional positive regard, can break some of those cycles or old patterns of non-developmental or non-change behaviour. 6. We can actively listen to mentees and try to spot change talk as an opportunity to intervene and motivate. Instead of simply shouting at someone louder and louder that they need to change, we can become more sensory aware of what people say in terms of their feelings and thoughts and locations and points of view, but also spot the darn cat in their change talk. Is there anything that gives us an inkling that the person might be considering or wanting to contemplate change? Finally, we didn't get onto this in the session, but as usual, towards the back of the pack, I would like to present the more extended material for those students that want to go the extra mile and try to extend their understanding and knowledge. And this is represented in red here, the 8th excerpt, in which the author explores transference and countertransference. I know that's a lot to take in, but the thing with these videos, I guess, is that you can stop and rewind the bits that you don't fully understand. But as best as possible, I hope that I've tried to summarise the things that we tangentially covered in the session today. Okay, I hope you found that useful, and I'll see you next time.